130 books in 2024, and these are my 5-star reads. Every single 5-star read from last year. First off, kicking it off with Powerless, following it up with Reckless. I'll have you note that Powerful is not in here for a reason. Loved this series. Is it an absolute ripoff of The Hunger Games? Absolutely it is. Do I care? No. Am I just here for the vibes, the banter, and the tension? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I actually really enjoyed this book. It's like your typical rom-com, but with a twist. And the twist made it so that it wasn't predictable. I get a little frustrated with the predictability of most of the romances I've been reading lately. So this little twist that was thrown in there kept me captivated and kept me wondering what was going to happen. Whereas even though you know, like, they're gonna end up together, right? You just wonder how. How is that gonna work? And I really enjoyed that aspect of this book. I was surprised that I enjoyed this as much as I did. I actually expected not to like it at all. That Sick Love by Jessie Hall. She's a dark one, okay? Very dark. A lot of religious trauma, so if that's not your jam, this might not be your book, but I enjoyed this a lot. I read this on audio and I highly recommend. This, there are scenes in this book that live rent-free in my head, actually. So, yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. We'll get some of the smutty ones out of the way. We have Praise by Sarah Kate. 5 stars because it's great for exactly what it is. Is there a lot of plot? No, not really. I mean, there's some, but let's be honest, this is mostly just pure, unadulterated smut, okay? And it was delicious. We liked her a lot. Like a lot. Yeah. Neon Gods by Katie Robert. Again, this one actually had more plot, but again, mostly smut. I went through my smutty era for sure earlier in the year and did enjoy this one. I'm on the 3rd one of this book. I'm actually currently in the middle of it. The 2nd one and the 3rd one just aren't quite living up. This one set the standards high, I'll be honest. Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I listened to this on audio as well. It is a single narrator, but I genuinely forgot that it was a single narrator because her voice for the male was so good. It was an incredible listen. Highly recommend that. I loved the alternating timelines of this book. I don't usually like that. I usually get very frustrated with alternating timelines between past and present. This one was done really well, and it was done, I don't want to give anything away, so just take a chance on it. Really good. 24690 and Whiteout by A.A. Dark. This is book 1 in the series, and this is book 2 in the series. There are 4 books total in the series. These were the only 2 that were 5 stars for me. This shit was dark as fuck, okay? So dark. Like, I cannot express to you enough how much trauma is in this book. So just go in checking your triggers at least, or knowing that if you like to raw dog books like I do. You know, we're just here for a good time, okay? These were incredible. This is the first series since I read some of my favorite fantasy series last year that I didn't want to stop. There was not a single time during this series that I was like, you know, I think I'm going to take a break. I think I'm going to read something else in between and I'll come back to... No, I ate this shit up. It was so good. A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. This is I was going to call it a short story, but it's not. It's an illustrated novel. It, from beginning to end, took me 2 hours, but this is a YA novel and it just has a beautiful message to it. It was a very captivating read, but the message at the end was just, Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. Loved this. This is so good. Binding 13 and Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh. I love these books so dearly. I think these are my new favorite books, period. I was very shocked by this because they are classified as young adult. I do not agree with that classification. Yes, the characters are young adults, but I don't believe the content in these novels is young adult appropriate. However, these books gave me so many emotions. I literally went from cackling to absolutely sobbing to then sobbing while laughing. Like, there was not a single moment that I wanted to stop reading these. They are absolutely monstrosities of books. They are both over 600 pages. So I really thought that it was going to be too much for me, and I ended the second book absolutely needing and wanting more. The Mindfuck series by St. Abby, aka Stabby. I loved this series. What you're looking at is a total of 5 books in this book right here, and it was incredible. I really think the book itself needs some rebranding. I don't think the title really does it justice, and I don't think the covers that are on KU do it justice either. It's really not that spicy. It's kind of like a psychological thriller romance, if you will, and it is outstanding. There was, again, another series that there was not a single moment that I wanted to stop reading. And I read the entire series probably in about 2 or 3 days. It was captivating. I could not recommend this book enough. Saving Noah by Lucinda Berry. This is always a hard recommendation for me, especially if you are a parent, because it just deals with some heavy frickin' topics. It's also a tearjerker, but this book, I love it unapologetically. I love books that give me a different perspective, and I genuinely hope that never, not a single day in my life, do I have to live through what this lady lived through or what she experienced. And being able to be in her shoes and understand what exactly was going on was outstanding. I love that books can do that for us. I love that books can give us the opportunity to be inside of situations that we never actually want to be inside of. This was incredible. Just know that you're not going to end it without questions. That was a little rough. Getting used to Lucinda Berry's writing was like understanding that she leaves you with questions. That's just how she is. I've gotten used to it now, but it was a little bit of a shocker in the beginning. Christina Lauren's The Paradise Problem. This book was awesome. I really, really enjoyed it. I found it very funny, and I found the main female character to be awesome. She's probably one of my favorite main female characters I've ever read. She's just like my freaking spirit animal, dude. I love Christina Lauren's rom-coms. I think they're very lighthearted, very funny, very unique, and just an all-around good time. This was one of those. Frida McFadden made it onto my list twice. We have Never Lie and The Teacher. What the fuck? What the fuck? With thrillers, I got into my thriller era in 2024, and I realized that if the thriller does not drop my jaw, it does not get a 5-star rating from me, period. These were the only 2 thrillers I read, probably of about 15 to 20, and these are the only 2 that dropped my jaw. Especially this one. I will never forget that ending, dude. I was in the car driving. Well, no. I was in the car with my husband driving, and I scared the living daylights out of him because I was like, oh. He's like, what? It's okay. It's my book. So good. Wild Love by Elsie Silver. Ford Grant is a man amongst men. Okay. The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This is my favorite Christina Lauren book to date. This book is hilarious. I was absolutely cackling by the first chapter. That's a feat, okay? To accomplish that, that's a freaking feat. And she did it. And I loved it. Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. Wow. Absolutely wow. It Will Captivate You by chapter 1. Highly recommend going in blind, but the beginning of it is a little bit dark, and then it turns into like a trauma romance. So overall though, I love Jennifer Hartman's writing and the way that she writes tension. Oh, Miss Hartman. She just does it for me, okay? This was incredible. Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. I read this on audio and it very quickly became my very favorite dark romance that I've ever read. So good. How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Megan Quinn. I absolutely loved this read. This was another one that I read on audio and it was so fun. It had a full cast narrated in duet and it was outstanding. I genuinely loved this. The best way I can describe this book is if you took Jim Carrey's How My Neighbor Stole Christmas and you rewrote it into a smutty romance. It was literally hilarious. It had the Grinch stories in it. It's actually like the Grinch story and the Grinch poems, and it has a narrator in it and everything. The narrator was probably my favorite character ever. So good. Highly recommend this on audio. Of course, Kristen Hanna made it on my list twice. Once with The Nightingale and once with The Great Alone. Wow. This book took history from a hatred to a love for me. This is the first time that I was ever able to look at a time in history with empathy towards the people who lived through it. I don't like learning about history. I never did all through school. I just never could pay attention. I could never connect with what was going on. It was just a bunch of dates and happening memorization. In here, I felt it. You know, I felt it. I lived it. And man, was this outstanding. Oh my God, outstanding. This was different. This was an insight into a situation that I've never had insight to, nor do I hope to ever have insight to. But this, man, Kristen Hanna just paints a picture. Like every time I read one of her books, I can literally picture everything that's going on. It's like a movie in my mind. And this was exactly that. And it was absolutely outstanding. I loved this book so much. And last but not least, All the Ugly and Wonderful Things by Bryn Greenwood. This is another one that is hard for me to recommend, but I don't care. I love this book unapologetically. This is another one of those books that gave me insight into a situation that I've never been a part of, let alone do I never, ever, ever hope to be a part of. But it also had so many points of view. Like there were multiple points of view in this book to the point where you only got one chapter from that point of view. There's like a chapter from a home health nurse, just so you can get every single person's perspective on this situation to really get a full picture of what's going on. It's unlike anything I've ever read. I loved this. One of my favorite books of all time. 26 5-star books in 2024. What will 2025 bring me?